Here. Oh, now you should be able to hear me. Here. Oh, now you should be able to hear me. Can you hear me? I know we're trying to figure this out on the go. It's not really the best option, but we got to figure this out. Can you hear me? I know we're trying to figure this out on the go. It's not really the best option, but that's not got to figure this out. Can you hear me? All right, awesome. So hopefully this sounds good. Sorry that took a long time to get set up. All right. Apparently having updated my VM. Sorry that took a long time to get set up. Go through all the. Apparently having updated my VM. Got that worked out. Sorry that took a long time to get set up. Go through all the. Apparently having updated my VM. Got that worked out. Sorry that took a long time to get set up. Okay, so hopefully maybe that disabled Telegram sounds. I can't hear a word, so. Is that better now? Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, there's just some. It's been a while. I haven't streamed in a bit, so we'll get through this together. Don't worry. Hopefully, if it starts sounding worse, just let me know. We'll work through it. We'll get this done, and hopefully, this becomes like a regular thing. So, besides all the problems, we have it set up finally, and really, what we're going to do is we're going to kind of go through just some general overview of what the software is. There's always a lot of questions that we're answering quite often, and I'm hoping that we can go ahead and clear some of those up. This is being locally recorded. I'll upload it, so we'll have a bit of, I guess, a archive of this. I was looking for a better word. Obviously, this is really relaxed. Ask me questions. I do have Telegram open, and you shouldn't be able to hear the sounds anymore when the message comes through. So if you have any questions, we can definitely go ahead and answer that and try to get through it. Maybe medium-ish to longish stream, not sure, but I really want to go ahead and start, just start getting this started. Ugh, God, terrible words. But generally what we're going to try to cover today is we want to look at the custom bots. Haas comes with a lot of custom bots that are, we call them custom bots, but they're really pre-made bots. They're designed to already have pre-existing strategies, and what I want to do is go through some of the basic to advanced ones, and then there's a few that I do not feel comfortable explaining, but later on maybe I can get Stefan on the stream and he can go ahead and explain the much more complicated ones, should I say. So yeah, let's just go ahead and jump to it. For those who don't know, I'm R4. I'm wrestling in chat. I'm in charge of support and community relations, community building. Basically, I have to make sure everybody doesn't chew their heads off, and generally keep the vibe of the room going, and help those who are around. As you know, I don't sleep a lot. I'm usually pretty active, so if you ever have a question, feel free to hit me up, and we'll go through it. And if I don't answer immediately, I am human. I got to sleep sometimes. So let's just go through a quick overview. This is generally what most people see. In case you're wondering, how is it full screen? It's just a web browser. I have it full screen, so don't think I have any fancy software. And on the front page, you get the trade server news and the HaasOnline forum. If you're not familiar with the forums, we are sort of active on there. We do have some discussion, but really everything's handled in the Telegram room, or at least that's where you can find me. I generally forget to be on the forum, so if you're trying to reach me there, it's not going to work too well. But let's go ahead. Let's just start going through the dashboard. So a lot of you guys are familiar. You've been working with this for a while, so this is nothing new. I apologize if it's kind of, I already knew that, but we want to get through it to hopefully catch those up who don't know, and then we'll definitely drop into the bots. We'll talk about the strategies, and like I said, I have my eye on the chat over here on the left, so if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. And if you hear the typing, it's because I have a really loud mechanical keyboard. So what we want to do is we want to look at there's a few here, you know, the bot dashboard. This is where you'll see bots that you have created. As you can see, I have one deactivated here. Price plugin, we'll definitely cover that. We have our bot list. Now, the bot list is pretty straightforward. It's every type of bot you have, what you've named them, what their current fees are, what they've been doing, things like that. You know, very general, straightforward. Here's all the bots you have active. If I talk quickly, I apologize. There's a lot I want to get through. Then there is the trade bots. Now, trade bots are here, let's go ahead and let's just do this. We're going to skip to this. Price drivers and accounts. In order to work with HaasOnline, you need to have your API keys enabled. As you can tell, the software is yelling at me, telling me I don't have anything enabled, which is true. So what we want to do is we want to go ahead and enable one of these. These are the current supported, I guess, exchanges that Haas currently supports. And for example, for this, everything we're going to use GDAX, mostly because I like GDAX and we won't have any API problems or anything. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to open that up, and we already have a simulated account. But there's a lot of times where people, I'll say, create a simulated account. They're like, what do you mean? My exchange doesn't support it. Haas supports simulated wallets by default for any exchange you want. You can do spot trading. You can write bots to trade with the simulated cash against real world data. And this is extremely useful for those who want to test out a bot but don't really want to, you know, lose a lot of money like me and Pashai do on the daily trying to test these scripts because we're just masochists like that. But really what you want to do is when creating bots, you hear me say it in chat a lot, you want to do a back test to make sure that the signals are set up correctly. And we'll definitely get into a little bit more details about how backtesting works. Then you want to run a simulated to test that the bot operates correctly during the live market data. When it comes in, you'll make sure it executes correctly. And then, you know, generally you 1/4 that, and that should be your actual income from that bot in that specific market. That's in a perfect world. Obviously, things change. We just had a crazy week this weekend with the China FUD. Hopefully we made it sure everybody was safe. We tried to do our best to have the entire group have minimal losses by telling our signals and things. Hopefully that worked out well. And if you were following along, hopefully you also made some profit like the rest of us did. But let's go ahead and go talk about adding a simulated account. So once you have your price driver enabled, you're going to want to click up here in the top right, add new account. And then here you'll see like, okay, you know, pretty straightforward. You give it an account name. So let's just name this one Sim. And then the account type. Now we do support 3 types of account types. There's spot trading, which is the general buy and sell. There's margin trading. So, you know, putting your, you know, making money based on the margin. And then we also support leverage trading. And for most of the exchanges, we support what they support. But like anything else, you know, trying to keep up with the changes that occur within the exchanges, you know, we do our best. And we have to kind of, you know, define, okay, prioritize bug fixes or prioritize exchanges. And generally we lean towards the bug fixes because bugs in the software means you guys lose money. And we're definitely not okay with that. So anyways, you pick your account type. We're going to go with spot trading since that's generally what all the bots will be using. And then your platform. Platform will be any of the exchanges you have enabled on the left under the manage price drivers. And then generally you would put your public key, your API key and your passphrase here. But all we got to do is click simulated account, hit save, excuse me. And then what that's going to do, it's going to go ahead and create a simulated wallet. Now you're like, okay, well, great. How do I add money to my simulated wallet? I want to be, you know, a crypto millionaire. Well, we can definitely facilitate that. After this check mark right here, you'll see this cash icon. When you click that, it'll tell you, you'll be able to select which type of coins that exchange currently supports. So in this case, you know me, I love Ethereum. You can put an amount, hit update, and now that wallet contains 25 Ethereum to test with, or, you know, to develop with, to spot trade with. And this is great. This is a very nice way for, you know, just to manage a virtual wallet. And if you have anybody who's trying to learn how to trade, etc., this is a fantastic tool you can use to give them some money and say, make it more without actually losing money, but actively trading on the live market. And like I said, this works for both the trade bots, the custom bots, and spot trading. So not to jump too far ahead, but up here, where is it? You'll see this trade now. We can trade against the live market data using our simulated accounts manually. So if we just wanted to see, you know, I'm not, like, let's say you weren't too confident with your manual trading abilities, you know, you can still do it without the risk and see how you'd fare. When I started, I wish I did this. I definitely didn't. So like most people here, learned the hard way, but nothing too bad. One of the common issues we have, specifically with Bittrex, is the API key. When you copy it, has an extra space at the end of it. And what will happen is when you paste it in a Haas, it will accept it because it's technically valid. But then when you add it, it will have this kind of red X. And I would go create a Bittrex account API key, but then, you know, people will have it. It's a whole ordeal. I'd have to delete it. I'm lazy. But just keep it in mind that if for whatever reason, after you add an API key here and there's a red X here, generally something's wrong. You really need to go ahead and look to make sure that you entered the key correctly. Because when you enter it correctly, you'll get a green check mark. And that's how you know everything's good to go. The exchange is set up correctly. You have proper communication. This one's a big one. I think we answer this question 5 to 10 times a week, where Bittrex you added the extra space there. So you really want to make sure that you check your keys, make sure everything's correct. And once after you enter it, you make sure to check for this green check mark. So just something to keep in mind. One of those gotcha moments. But okay, so now we have Haas not yelling at us anymore. So let's go ahead and let's just jump into it. I want to go through some of the features real quick. Yes, it is. Hold on, let me answer a question here. Or if someone can answer Karen's question, there is a way to do that. Twitch should have an option in the bottom right, like a little cogwheel, to bring down the quality of the stream. So if anybody can answer that real quick. But basically, there's some core features that I feel is very important for people to understand and use, because Haas is more than just a bot trading software. We do have our charting software, which is my preferred. TradeView confuses me because just too many lines, but I like Haas's charts. We do have some comparison, order book views, indicator scanners, etc. So I'm going to jump through those real quick since they're really easy to get to cover real quick, and then we'll get into the more complicated stuff. And people can yell at me because I'm saying certain strategies wrong. So I'm definitely excited about that. Let's go ahead. First one's the market view. Now, the market view is one of probably the nicest parts of HaasOnline, at least personally, but it's also one of the buggier parts. And it's really because the way that we retrieve market data from both the exchange and our market data servers, which hold a history of current market data, that's where things kind of get funny. And specifically when exchanges are overloaded, we're trying to get the current data from the exchange directly. The only time you're getting data from the Haas servers is when we're actually pulling data from, you know, what's the word I'm looking for here? Historical data. Now, that's not to say that we don't also supply the real-time data. It's just when possible, when it's not in power saving mode, we will create a WebSocket connection to the Haas market servers and to the exchange to try to grab all the data real time so you can see it. If you're in power saving mode, which I'll show you how to find that out in a little bit, you're basically using everything over REST APIs, which is a lot easier on the server itself, but you're not going to get as fast of data. So if you ever notice, like, if you're trying to watch the order book and you're watching like GDAX on the exchange and then you're watching GDAX on the market view, you'll notice one is slower than the other. And that's really because it's REST API versus WebSockets. If that sounds too technical, basically when we're connected to the WebSocket, we get data as it's created. When we do the REST API, we call it every minute or so. So just something to keep in mind. But let's go ahead and load some data here. And immediately I'm glad that it's doing this. This is a common error with the Haas charting software, where we didn't get a notification in the bottom right-hand corner. Generally, if we don't get a notification in the bottom right-hand corner that data is being loaded, something went wrong. It could be all sorts of things. and unfortunately, there's so much market data out there. The only real way to go ahead and try to remedy this is to jump back to another page and then load it again. And as you can see, everything's fine. Just so one of those gotchas. We're definitely working on it. It's just all the data we're pulling in, and there's a lot of different areas where this can fail. Really, the best options: click off, click back into it, and we'll go ahead. So, like any other charting software, there is a lot of time frames we can use depending on how you're trading. Generally, just a little heads up, if you're doing day trading, you're looking at the 1 minute, the 5 minute, the 15, and probably the 30. The hour, if you're doing a bit more of swing trading, and I know people will argue with me because I know in our own chat room we're using the hour to mark, watching trends to see when things turn around, and really there's a lot of different setups. People say if you're doing long-term trading, you should look at the 12-hour in the day. You're doing swing trading, the hour to 6 hour, so on and so forth. Really, that there are set times, but we're just going to get off to a tangent on that one. But let's go ahead and start looking. So obviously we have different time zones. So the first one lets us pick. So let's just start from the top left. The first one lets us pick which exchange we want to look at and which pair. So for example, we only have the GDAX price driver enabled. And when we hover over GDAX, we get the current pairs that GDAX is listing. And in this case, we're using Ethereum USD. The next one is going to tell us our time frame. So what time candlesticks do we want to look at? If you're not sure how to read candlesticks, Stefan did a really good post on the forum on how to read this and how Haas does it differently. There will be, when you start looking at the differences between charts, specifically like GDAX and on the website and Haas here or Bittrex, etc., Haas does the way they draw their candlesticks a bit differently to try to show the true price. Definitely check out that on the forum, because that, for a beginner who's looking at it, and the inconsistencies might get confusing, but it's not that complicated, and I prefer Haas's version of it. Anyways, let's go ahead, switch this to 15 so we can get some decent data. And as you can see, another common issue here, and this is more so the VM I'm rendering this on is having problems, but you get the general idea. Here we have the order book on the right, general order book, what's being purchased, how much, at what price. And then right here we have the completed orders back down here in the right, or the matched orders, should I say. So of course you have your time scale. As you can see, minus the lag going left and right, you can see the time, date and time of when this candlestick was made. And then on the right here we have the price. So if you're like me and sometimes you just don't want to have the exchange open because they make my MacBook Pro sound like a jet engine, Haas generally is a great option. The next thing you have, the next item on the top left, is you actually have your candlestick orientation. So or the candlestick variation, what type of candlestick you want to use, a line, a mountain, whatever. And then you have, right here is when we start getting to the interesting stuff. Right here you have your, Haas just freaked out on me. So what you're seeing right now is an issue with the VM itself. It's not the issue with the charting. When it disappears like that, it's just the VM's running out of RAM or something. But no worries, we can just click off, click back in, we're good to go. So right here we have this indicators. Now these are all the indicators that Haas supports natively. And there's a lot. You have, for anybody who's asking me, what indicators do you guys use? What are you guys kind of looking at? I always say MACD, RSI, Fibonacci retracement, and Bollinger Bands. I probably said that wrong. Great foundation, and with Haas, it makes it kind of simple. We just click it, and then our indicator is going off. I will definitely do some later videos, or Stefan will do some more talking about how to read these indicators later on, but they're not as hard as you might think. Most of them are pretty straightforward, general rules. But there's two types of indicators. There's ones that will be drawn at the bottom here, and there's types that will be drawn within the chart itself. So for example, if we do B-bands, it'll be drawn within the chart interface itself. If you're not sure how to read this, don't worry. There will be later talks about this, and we're just trying to get through this. So two types of indicators. One that's going to be shown has its own independent window on the bottom, and then the ones that will be shown as part of the main chart itself. Important to note, you can only have up to 3 indicators supported at a given time. We're working on it. I'm bugging them to make sure we can have more, because personally I want my charts to be so unreadable that I feel like I'm doing something special. So we're going to go ahead. The next one is just to delete indicators. So the plus sign means to add an indicator, and this little cogwheel here, which you can barely see, means to remove. So all you would do is click that, and it will remove that indicator. The next thing is the candlestick patterns. There's a ton of them. Generally, I suggest learning a few of them. Your general cup and handle, 3 soldiers, engulfing bear, whatever the heck it's called. But there's a lot, and Haas does support showing these. So like, let's just pick one that maybe we'll be able to verifies I don't know, half of these. You know, I never claimed to be the best. So like Harami bearish, right? Bullish, right? So when you click it, you'll look around and it doesn't look like we have any here. But what will happen is the chart software will show the candlestick pattern or the candlestick that matches with yellow. So I'm trying to find, there it is. So for example, this Hikaki bullish, which apparently isn't very solid on this, you can see where the pattern's made. So, all right, let's see. Stefan's saying give simple up. If I can find it. Here, there it is. Yeah. There we go. So as you can see, we put in a candlestick pattern in, and we can actually see where the matches are. So, you know, a lot of people are talking about, oh, I see a cup and handle, I see 3 soldiers, and you're like, what in the world is that? And, you know, you do your Google and you still can't find it. We can generally match it. You know, it'll be here. And of course, same idea, you can get rid of them. I know we're spending a lot of time in the charts. I'm sorry, we'll get through it. The final part is the drawing tools. You'll see me posting quite a bit, you know, some bad drawings here, and then Karen will yell at me saying I'm an idiot, whatever the case might be. But we do support different drawing tools here, and, you know, different colors, different fills, and text. So definitely experiment with that. I want to move past this, so let's go ahead and go to the next one. The next thing is a market compare. I only have, you know, GDAX enabled, but what market compare will let us do is, let's say we want to compare the Ethereum market. So let's click that. And then for whatever reason, we also want to see how it's matching the Bitcoin market. If you were here this weekend and you were trading with us, these markets were pretty much lining up almost equally, as you can see here. They're pretty consistent. This is useful for not only doing, you know, exchange or arbitrage or arbitrary, I can't say the word, trading against multiple exchanges, or trying to see how different markets compare, or for example, Ethereum following the BTC market. We can see it here. You have the color of this market, which is green here, and then BTC is blue, and you can kind of see they're following each other really well. And this is just, you know, just a useful tool. The next part you have is your order book view. The order book view is just going to pretty much just show you what's the order books look like. So let's do Ethereum. Then I want to see Bitcoin's order book, you know, and you can do different exchanges, right? So if you want to see resistance, you know, buy, sell walls across different exchanges, very useful. And, you know, this is just to show you more and more that, you know, Haas is more than just bots. And I know that's what you guys want, but I want to cover a bit more. Indicator scanner. I've already done a video on this. We are almost done, ready to publish. But essentially all this is going to do is go through different indicators based on a market you select, and go through all possible values and give you a performance. Now that doesn't necessarily mean profit, but it does mean, here, I guess let's just generate one real quick for the Aaron scan. And what it's going to do is it's going to show you performance, how many good buys, how many late buys, how many you know, early buys, sells, so on and so forth. And you can see which indicators are giving you the best performance, but that doesn't necessarily mean profitability. So just something to keep in mind. I do have a video on this where I go a bit more in depth on it. Yeah, so it's, you know, it's to search sweet spots, you know, common profitable settings, things like that. So I got a more detailed video later, so I'm not going to spend too much time there. Then you got your order templates builder. We'll have a video on this. Don't worry about this. This gets a bit more complicated because it changes the way you do your order types, etc. So let's not worry about that too much. Then we have, you know, open orders and wallet assets. No big whoop. But let's go ahead. Let's jump into it. Let's start with the custom bots. Whew, we're going to have a field day of this. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to start at the top, work our way down. Stefan's watching the stream, so if I say something wrong, he will correct me. So hopefully we can cover this pretty simply. So first thing we're going to do, let's just start. So I did mention there's a few bots I won't personally explain simply because of, you know, my understanding. So any of the arbitrage bots I won't explain, but I can explain majority of them. So like, for example, zone recovery, any of these 3 arbitrage bots, I will leave to Stefan and the guys who wrote it to explain, and I'll do my best to explain the other ones. So let's go ahead, let's get started. Let's start with the scalper bot. Now the scalper bot is generally, you know, we always say, you know, it's available, first off, it's available in our beginner license. Different bots are available in different license levels. And this is not just because, you know, oh, we're trying to get more money. Different bots require a different understanding of markets. And if you don't understand the markets, you actually will cost you more money. You will start losing money because you're using bots that either you don't understand or not properly configured because your skill level's not there. Now, that's not to say a beginner can't use some of these advanced bots, you know, correctly. It just means that on the get-go, someone who maybe doesn't know how to trade too well just buys a bot because, for example, me, I went into bots because I was a very emotional trader. Many would argue I'm still am, but you know, there are reasons why certain bots are only available in certain licenses. So let's go ahead. Let's just get started. So the scalper bot. The scalper bot is a very, very easy to understand bot. Each bot's designed for a certain type of market, and it's important to make sure to put these bots in the market type it's expecting or it's designed for. And generally, the two types we have are a sideways and a trending market. So a sideways market means, you know, it's going up and down between a given price or a different channel. So let's say between 240 and 250, we'll call that a sideways market. But if you put a bot designed to be in a sideways market in a trending market, what will happen is it will get stuck in one direction. You don't know which direction because it depends on which way the market goes. But what could end up happening is a few of the guys who are running scalper bots, you know, at our all-time high got stuck holding bags at 4,800, you know, BTC because they weren't keeping track of it. They just had a scalper bot, they were making money, and now it's holding bags at, you know, 1,000 above current price, and that's pretty bad. So you want to make sure to do your market analysis, and if you're not sure what's going on, just ask in the Haas group. You'll get your answers. If you're like, guys, which way is the market going? I'm confused. One of us will answer, and then one of us will disagree. So it'll be great. But essentially, it's pretty straightforward. We have our bot name. You just give your bot a name, the account, so which exchange you want to use, and then which market type or pair. Pretty straightforward. All bots have this general settings here, but you have the specific bot settings down here. So we have our coin position. Coin position is pretty straightforward. It's what do we currently have? In this case, do we want to, you know, hold on. So for example, let's say we want to trade this much Ethereum, and we want to trade, we're starting with Ethereum. We have 0.5 Ethereum, and here's the fee. So let's discuss fees. Different exchanges have different fees, and there's always an issue with GDAX. GDAX is fee free. Everybody knows that with limit orders. And everybody gets really upset when we start calculating profit and fee costs and gain, or they freak out because GDAX is costing them fees, but when they check the exchange, it isn't. This is by design. Haas by design is set to always assume a fee of 0.25% if it does not know what the exchange's fees are. Yes, we know you guys want to be able to customize the fees. We're looking into it. It's just a bit more coding for, I guess, a not so important feature in our opinion, because there's a lot more we want to bring to you guys. Monday we have some really cool stuff coming out, but it's in our log, it's in our roadmap. We're looking at it, but by default Haas will just assume 0.25% if we don't have it hard coded in. So GDAX guys, sorry, just ignore the fee costs, look at the gain, and then check your exchange for the real fees. I know it's annoying, but you know, it could be worse. You could be thinking you're making more money than you're not. So that just goes with Haas's idea of the way we do back tests, which we'll explain here in a little bit. So our target percentage is how much do we want the price to move before we make a buy or sell. Generally, you want this 2 times the fee cost plus a little extra. So 55%. So 2 times 0.25, a little bit extra to make some more money. Now, obviously, this target percentage depends on how the market's moving itself. So is the market moving in bigger swings or smaller swings? For example, 1% in Litecoin, you might never execute a trade. But 1% in Ethereum, you might, or 0.55. This really, you're going to have to look at it yourself, do a little bit of math, just look at the charts, see how the sideways market's looking, and you can figure out what your target percentage is. Then you have your safety threshold. Now this one I will probably say wrong, but thankfully Stefan's here and he'll tell me, but this is generally your amount of risk, how much you're willing to lose, or I guess, yeah, how far do you want the price to go before, God, it's always hard to explain the safety threshold. I'm sorry, guys. But basically, 98%, 99% means you're willing to go that far down from the target percentage or that far up before you sell for a loss. So I used to say you want to set this to 3 or 5. That is incorrect. Most of the other bots in Haas work on the lower values, meaning more risk. But Scalper Bot's one of the weird cases where higher value means more risk. I know it's confusing. I apologize, guys. If I said that wrong, Stefan will definitely correct me real quick. So let's talk about backtests. Now, a lot of people get confused about how our backtests actually work. So backtests are against they're testing the signals itself, right? At what price does the signal execute? And we test to make sure that if the signal executes, what is it, a buy or sell? And then we generate a assumed profit. That is one part of the bot testing phase. If you're working on your own trade bots, like I said before, you want to do a back test, you want to do a simulated test, and then 1/4 of your simulated should be your actual gain. That's not a precise formula. That's just what I and others have seen as being the general case. So back tests are just to prove the signals are correct. Next, you would do your simulated test, which would just mean you run it against a simulated wallet. And then, you run the bot and let it go ahead and try to make its trades. Generally with the predefined strategies here, like the Scalper bot, you don't have to go ahead and run a simulation. They're designed, we've tested them thoroughly, we test them all the time to make sure they work correctly within that type of market. A common question is, how do I make a Scalper bot in a trade bot because I want to add some safeties? A Scalper bot is 2 parts. It's a blind indicator, working on a specific time, and a overcome cost fee, and a percentage, a price percentage difference. I'll have to get the name of the price one. So basically what you can do is you can put those settings in, and then you can add additional safeties to correct it or to improve it, right? You can have like a Pashai's Super Scalper version 3.5, whatever he's on, which does some crazier things in the background to kind of, facilitate. So, sounds like I'm still good on that one. I thought I was wrong. Pashai was not going to be. Ping Pong bot, which we'll cover next, is definitely just a blind indicator and overcome. This is a blind indicator, overcome, and price change difference. So we'll make one later. So let's go ahead. What we're going to do now is we're going to look at the logbook here and try to explain what is exactly going on here. When we're debugging this, we generally ask, so what does the log say? So the first thing you're going to see is this trade logbook. Now the trade logbook's pretty straightforward. It will tell us, what action was taken at what time, what price percentage, the amount, how much our fees was, and what was our overall profit, loss, etc. If you've been in chat recently, you see Pashai's crazy 2,000 gains, etc. That OCC script that cost me and him a lot of money. Back tests are good, but they're not as good as a simulated test, and they won't ever be as good. And a simulated test will never be as good as a real-world test. I didn't mention simulated tests, so I'll just mention that real quick. A simulated test always fills its orders, and that's why you can't count on a simulated test full profit. That's why we 1/4 it, because sometimes your orders won't get filled. Sometimes the market will move quickly or quicker than the order will get filled. You'll get partial fills, etc. So that's why you 1/4 it after a simulated test, and that's your expected gain. So we should say. But this is pretty straightforward. It's just our trade logbook. Lets us see what type of trades are executed, what the gains, etc. are. And of course, you can export to a CSV to share it if you need to. But let's go ahead and look at our actual bot logbook. Now, the bot logbook is, it's pretty straightforward. It looks confusing at the beginning, but it's almost exactly the same as our trade logbook, just a bit more texty and more useful for, I guess, the developers to see. So from here, you can see they got a price change now of 0.2277%. Last buy was at 263.93, which is straightforward. It's checking. There's a price change difference, and we're checking it. And it says detected change of this gigantic amount at time frame. Right? Because what the Scalper bot needs to do is it needs to check to see how far the price is in percentage, right? We have it set to 0.55%. So what does it do? It looks for this price change to 0.55%. So right here. So see how, let's go. Let's see. Trying to find the buy and sell, last sell price. Yeah, right here. So it's not doing me very much help right here because there's only one trade. So I've tried to find it. And I keep seeing just bunches of price change nows, should I say. But basically all this logbook is going to actually show is what it did at what time, what the signals are. And when we go to a trade bot, we'll look at this a bit more. But yeah, when we're asking for you to send us your logbooks, this is what we're trying to debug. We want to see what the bot's doing. If it's doing something it shouldn't be, we definitely want to know. And this is very common with indicators. I know we had some problems in the past with our SMA and our DMA or DEM, whatever the case was, where those indicators weren't firing correctly. This is how we find that out. So just keep that in mind. Let's go ahead. Let's move to the next one here. Oh, perfect. I do have water here. By the way, guys, feel free to ask questions. I am monitoring, and so if you have any questions or if something doesn't make sense, please let me know. All right, let's go ahead and move on. Let's go to the next one, which is a ping pong bot. Ping pong bot is even simpler than the scalper. So this is strictly blind indicator and overcome fee. That's it. Oh, here we go. Sorry, I wasn't watching Twitch chat. Let me move that over real quick, guys. A few seconds. The heck do you open this thing? Okay. Let me move that over to my window over here. Can you share the link to the candles? Can someone drop in the link, please? Okay, so basically, yes, no, sort of. Right now we don't. Well, actually, we just upgraded the simulation engine, so I believe it's against the order book. Stefan, please correct me if I'm wrong on this, but we do now go against real time against the current order book. Oh yes. Let me go ahead and get you the link for that, or if anybody wants to take care of it. In Twitch chat, someone's asking for Stefan's, I guess, guide on how to read the Haas candlesticks. Yeah, I'm already there, I guess. I can go ahead and paste that in a few moments, guys. Let me find it. Well, I thought I was going to be able to find it quickly. Hopefully, Stefan, if you can go ahead and send me the link to the chat over on Slack, that'd be great, and then I can send it over. Oh, okay. So I was wrong. The ping pong bot actually calculates a high and low price to buy and sell every 180 minutes. So this is very similar to the dynamic high-low indicator. And basically what's happening is every 180 minutes, it's going to go ahead and check... it's going to go ahead and check the current given price and make its decision on that. So it's even simpler. It's not even a blind. It's a blind indicator for 180 minutes along with a dynamic high-low indicator. And basically when the high-low indicator fires off a buy and sell, you're good to go. We can definitely try to recreate this one as well. So let's go ahead and move on. I guess I should say all you need to know with the ping pong bot is current position. So what you currently have, and how much you want to trade, and you just let it go. Now, the ping pong bot's also designed for a sideways market. A lot of the built-in bots are for a sideways market, and that's just because most of the time we're not running in these ridiculous trends, right? Where like this weekend we're very flat, and it's boring for us who are trying to short. There's nothing we can do. We're just making small. But a bot like these, the scalper and ping pong bot, which are both available in the basic or the beginner license, will work in this current market. So there's a lot of people who are running 18, 20, 30 of these bots at different percentages. And that's how that's perfect. I'm glad I mentioned that. Scalper bot and the ping pong bot, you generally want to use small amounts because you want these orders to fill because they're going to try to be at the peak and at the low or the bottom of the dip, and they're going to try to be at the top of the peak. So you generally want to make sure that your amounts, not too much. General rule of thumb, for each scalper or ping pong bot, you want either half or a full coin. Now, granted, we're talking about like Litecoin, Ethereum. If you're trading Doge or something, well, yeah, sure, you're going to trade like 200,000 of them. That's fine. But general rule of thumb for the bigger coins, you know, you want to be trading, you know, one or a half. So let's go ahead. Let's keep moving. We got a lot of room, a lot to cover here. Flash Crash Bot. This is a advanced only license. Sorry, guys. For those who are using it, they love it. And for me personally, I love it. Basically, the Flash Crash Bot works on a spread. It basically sets a series of orders a certain percentage down and then flips it over to a certain percentage or the same percentage in the cell. Sounds confusing. It's really not. We're going to go ahead. Let's just set it up real quick and then I can explain it. So basically what you want to do is when you first get this interface open, hit save. And the reason you want to hit save is you want to pull the latest data into the bot interface. And it's one of those gotchas about HaasOnline. There's just so much data going around and we're working on all of them and it's all prioritized, but we're looking at features right now. So basically what you want to do is you want to hit save. That will update our current price. And then you want to click current price to get it to set our base price. The base price is what is the price range or the price we want to base all of our percentages around. So for example, let's say we don't want the base price, we want a little bit higher. We can do 265. And all our orders will go above or below 265. Pretty simple, but let's keep going so we can make a little more sense here. The spread type. Now there's four spread types supported. There's a fixed amount, a percentage with boost, and an exponential. So a fixed amount's pretty straightforward. I want it to always be $1 apart. A percentage is pretty straightforward also. You want 0.5%. Percentage with boost is a percentage plus a little extra. And then exponential is just as it sounds, just continuously make it bigger or, you know, exponentially make it larger. So what we're going to do is we're going to just use a percentage and let's use 1%. It's really easy to follow and, you know, we can make sense of it. The next thing you're going to see is what currency, use currency. So this is telling you what type of currency or what value or which side of the pair you want to put all of your calculations in. Are you going to do it strictly on USD? So I only want to commit $1,000, right? Or do we want to do it based on Ethereum? And I want to say I want to trade 6 Ethereum. It's perfectly up to you. The bot will figure out how much it can buy or sell in either way. So let's just go ahead. Let's make it simple. We're going to use Ethereum. We want to trade 6 Ethereum. That's the total amount we want to buy. And it's important to note. So we have total buy amount, total sell amount. You want to put generally which position you have. So let's say you've never ran this before and you're not holding any coins, then you would want to buy 6 Ethereum. But let's say you are holding 6 Ethereum, but you want to set it up. So you would do 6 sell. And of course, let's say you have both, then you can say I want to buy 6 Ethereum with USD, but I also want to sell the 6 I have. And this is all completely configurable. You don't have to have both sides to start. So let's keep going. Our spread. So our spread is how much do we want across these orders of 1%. This can be anything. It could be 0.1, 0.5, 1, 0.001. Whatever you want. Let's make it simple. I want to trade 1 Ethereum. And then there's the refill delay. By default, it'll try to go really quick. Generally, it's okay. But some people prefer a 1 minute, a 5 minute refill delay. I mean, there's reasons for this. Let's say the market's going crazy, giant spikes, and you don't want your order to get filled immediately and get hit with a fee. Because for certain exchanges like GDAX, limit orders are free unless they're filled immediately. In that case, they're turned into market orders. So let's say you want a 1 minute delay or whatever. We'll just leave it 0 for this case. And then what you want to do is hit save. So let's say we only want to buy. We're going to hit save. Now what you'll see pop up here in this little Flash Crash order book is the orders that will be placed that are 1% away from our base price. And as you can see, we have 6 orders because we have 6 Ethereum we're going to trade. Hopefully that makes a little bit of sense there. We were saying we want to buy a total amount of 6 Ethereum. Our spread's 1 Ethereum per an order for the currency, and then our price spread is 1%. It's like, okay, well, what if I want to do 0.5? Well, you can do 0.5, and what will happen is it will expand the price order list to, based on 0.5, so we can use more. We have more orders because of the way we're dividing our Ethereum across each order. And this is fully configurable. You can say 0.3, whatever you want, 0.35. And as you can see, our orders are getting updated. Another useful thing about the Flash Crash bot is you can actually see right here, it's going to tell you we need to buy 5.95 Ethereum. It's going to cost you this much USD on current market price. Pretty useful. But it's like, okay, so it'll make the orders, but what happens when the orders are filled? I don't want to hold the coins. If you're like me, I like to day trade. I don't want to hold my coins. Well, what happens? So I'm going to put this here just so it makes it a bit easier for us to see. But what will happen is when this buy order is filled at 58.94, it's going to immediately flip it over to 64.18, right? And so on and so forth. So what happens is when any one of these orders are filled, the whatever percentage away from the base price it is here on the buy, it's going to put that over there on the sell on the same percentage away. So 58 turns into 64, 56 turns into 266, so on and so forth. And what you end up having is this gigantic spread across the market of different prices. Now, for example, in an uptrend market, this is useful because we're moving up and then we consolidate down a little bit. Then you go ahead, you're filling all your orders and you're going up and down. And this can be configured. So, for example, let's use, for example, LTC. Now we know Litecoin moves in maybe $1 or $2 at best. Well, what we can do is we can set these percentages lower, right? So 0.35%, right? And boom, now we're moving, or I guess in Ethereum, that's still not a little, but if we switch it to Litecoin, let's go ahead and do that right now. So our base price, as you can see, is not updating here because, well, what's Litecoin's base price? Let's just make this easy on ourselves. And like I said, we do have some gotchas in the interface and we're working through them. There it goes. So finally we got an update, took a minute, but we got it. So it's 5206, we hit save. And now you can see, now we're probably able to trade within Ethereum spread. So 51.88 to 52.24, 51.7 to 52.43. And we can make that even smaller, right? So let's say we want to do some penny trades, right? Or at least what I would consider penny. Boom. So now we're paying on 0.10% per order. Now, keep in mind that's probably not enough to cover certain exchanges fees, but on GDAX, as long as you're lucky and your orders don't get filled, this might work out really well, as long as you make enough to cover the market order fee. So that's something you're going to have to figure out. It's like, okay, well, I understand this, but I don't want to look at the chart at the same time on a different screen. So how do we do that? Obviously there has to be a way, and there is. So down here on the bottom, important to note, as I remember it, currently the Flash Crash bot can't be tested or back tested. I think that might have changed with the new simulation engine. Stefan, say it in chat if it is changed. But for a while, back testing wasn't working with the Flash Crash bot, and simulated testing doesn't work because the orders always fill. So it's like, that is an issue. But I believe the new simulation engine fixes those two issues, so we can actually fully test the Flash Crash bot. But anyways, moving on, I digress. Let's go ahead. If we click full screen down here, we're taken to this fancy interface. And hopefully it loads, because this would be terrible if it doesn't. So where is our little, here we go. Let's see, refresh the chart. There we go. So I bet you're wondering, how do we know where our orders are within the chart itself? Well, what we can do is we can actually draw it. So Flash Crashes, the Flash Crash bot's full screen mode will actually show on a given chart where everything is. So let's go ahead, let's boost this percentage of it. Let's say 0.5%, hit save, and now we can see where our buys and sells are within the current market. So as it stands here, this might work out, right? If we do a little TA here, we find out, we're still, looks like we're sideways, so on and so forth. It might work that this Flash Crash bot configuration will work in this current market. But, there are cases, we all got hit by news and things might change. There is a new feature of the Flash Crash bot where the base price does move. This has been released. Let me see if I can find it here. Yes, follow the trend. So one of the problems with the flash crash bot is when an order was filled, it wouldn't move. So what would end up happening is you would sell out and you're not moving up here, right? 65, 70 bucks for Litecoin and you're already done. That means you have to go in and manually reset it. So what we enabled was something called follow the trend. And what follow the trend will do is it will move our base price constantly up with the trend until one of the orders are filled. The moment one of the orders are filled, so the market moves a little bit back down, it stops following the trend and then it just starts operating normally. Pretty useful. So we're working on it. We're trying to make it almost fire and forget, but like anything else, you need to know what percentage to set it. Now, it's like, okay, well, I don't want to day trade. I'm not that guy. I'm looking for long-term trades. I'm a swing trader, or you know what? I'm looking for the big trades. Well, it's like, okay, we'll set this to 5% and you're good to go. So if you're trading instead of over a 1 week, 1 day, you're trading on a 4 month, 5 month year, you can set this up, and as the price moves up and down, you're just collecting your profits. Whatever you want to do, the flash crash bot's there. It can facilitate it. And this is generally, a lot of people are running a lot of these. It's important to note it is resource intensive because it's constantly having to recheck the order books for every bot you use. So this might not be one you can run 10 or 15 of, but most people are able to run about 5 or 8 of these no problem with still functionality. Like I said, we're working on everything, but as you can see here, we would have bought in at 35. We'd still be holding, but we'd be expecting 70. But as you can see, these smaller ones here, we'd actually been making money the whole time. So let's go ahead. Let's keep moving. So if anybody has any more questions about the flash crash bot, please let me know or let someone know. And it is only available in our advanced license because there is a lot of potential to bag hold. And if you don't do proper TA, you're going to get really stuck and then you're going to probably lose money because you need a liquid, or you need to liquidate yourself to get some funds to trade with. So that's kind of why certain bots aren't on certain list. But let's go ahead. Let's keep going. So the next bot, the market making bot. So market making bot, which hopefully I will explain correctly, is a simple bot, and all it's going to do is it's going to set two limit orders, one directly above the buy price and one just under the sell price, and it's just going to constantly do that to collect it on the spread. 13 of an error, I think that's how you say it. No, there is other bots, or there is another bot where we can just fire and forget, and we'll cover that. We're getting there. So the market maker bot will just follow the price up and down and just constantly be buying and selling. So it works, but the issue with that would be is, you get hit with fees if you're not trading enough to do that. So you want to make sure, you have, this is one of the few bots where you can actually configure the maker's fee. So how much does it cost to be a market maker? GDAX, it's technically 0, but if it fills immediately, you're hit with it, right? So just something to keep in mind. Very straightforward. If the price is, $52, it's going to set one for 51, 98, whatever percentage you set, or price offset percentage, and 52.10, whatever that percentage away from each other is. So just pretty straightforward. I believe this is also only the advanced license. Might be in the simple, but we'll just say advanced for now, and if I'm wrong, we can go ahead and get that sorted. But like I said, very straightforward. Order one market order above, one market order below, or not market order, one limit above, one limit below, and just constantly going. And then there could be secondary orders. This is extremely useful for coins that don't move too much, right? They're, I want to use like Doge, for example, that's moving maybe a penny, but you're trading a ton of them. So you can use this bot to take care of, that super slow, annoying trade. So it's like, goes to 43, you buy a lot, goes to 44, you sell a lot, so on and so forth, back and forth, and it'll move as the price moves. So pretty straightforward. Let's go ahead. I'm sorry, I'm losing my voice here. 3 seconds. All right. So let's go ahead. Let's move forward. So order bot. Order bot's pretty straightforward. It's probably one of the easiest bots to understand. It's almost the equivalent of putting orders on the exchange. The only difference is you can tell it when to do it. So there's a lot of people who like to keep where their orders are private. And, it's for various reasons. They don't want to manipulate, maybe their orders are too big. They don't want to manipulate the market. They don't want to be part of a buy wall, sell wall, so on and so forth, whatever the reason is. But they still want to be able to place orders in at certain times. So if you put it on the exchange, the limit order is placed immediately. But let's say we want to go ahead and place an order. I only want to put an order at $53 if the price is $52.50. Well, that's what the order bot lets us do. A lot of people wish that it's like, man, I really want a bot where if it hits $50, you know, I'm not awake, but I don't want to put it on the order. I want it $49. Let's just make one. So basically what we do is we're going to add a pre-order. And what a pre-order does is it lets us select a few options. The type of order we want, whether it be a limit or market order. Let's leave limit because we don't like fees. And then direction. So are we going to buy or are we going to sell what we currently have? So we don't have anything. Let's go ahead and buy. I want to buy, so what are we on? Ethereum? 263. Okay, so let's say I want to buy at 260. Just say 260. Okay, so I want to buy at 260. I want to buy 6 Ethereum, and on condition of, it's not filled on your first order, but we'll cover it. And then there's a trigger type. If the price is lower than or higher than. So let's say if the price is lower than 261, I want to buy 260. Ignore this thing. It's backwards. I know. I don't know why it's backwards in the GUI. I should put a bug in. I'll put a bug in after this, but this is backwards. So just whatever you selected here, that's the correct way it'll go. So we're going to put one order in. If the price is less than 261, and we're going to put an order in at 260 for 6 Ethereum. Pretty straightforward. It's like, okay, but I want something to execute when that's done. Okay, so we add another pre-order, and we want to sell this 6 Ethereum, and let's say we want to sell it at 265, and we want to sell 6 Ethereum 265, but one of the conditions is we're only going to do this after the first order is filled, and when the price is higher than 264. So now what happens is our order doesn't end up on the order book yet. We still have liquid cash. And when the price hits 261, we're going to put an order in at 260 and we want to buy 6 Ethereum. Then once that's filled, only if the first one's filled, do we want to put a sell at when the price is less than 264 or when the price is greater than 264 for a price at 265. See how this is going? What we can do is we can start setting these conditional trades and not keep our orders on the order book. And this is important for a lot of people. We facilitate it. Or let's just say you're not too sure about the market, but you don't want to have your money tied up because you're doing leverage and that'd be very bad for you. Then, you can set this up, go to bed, no big whoop, and the bot will take care of it. It will make the buy and the sell orders. So very useful bot, important to know. All right, Alice. Alice is advanced only. Order bot, I believe, is all the way up to beginner. So Alice. Now, Alice is a beautiful, beautiful bot. It generally will make very good trades. Now, it does make trades for a loss sometimes, but I don't think I'm allowed to say what it does in the background, but we've done a lot of work in the background. It has a little bit of what's the word I'm looking for? I want to say genetic algorithm. That might be the wrong word, but basically it has a lot of market data. It knows a lot of trends, a lot of market history, and based on all of that, plus the indicators it uses, it makes trade decisions, and it's generally useful on Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Dash. Personally, I've had it very successful on Bitcoin. On Ethereum, results may vary, but like any other bot, right? It's depending on where it is in the market. I probably just didn't run it long enough, and that cost me money. But generally, Alice is a fire and forget for the most part. You give her a certain amount to trade with, and you just let it go, and it will make its trades. As you can see, there is literally only two options. You pick which position you're in, and then how much you want to trade. You hit 6, hit save. Yes. And then what will happen is it will start collecting the real-time data, and it'll tell you where our current trend is. Are we downtrending, uptrending, sideways, flat? And based on that information, Alice will start making our trades. Now, she doesn't make a lot of trades. It's important to note. One of the things that, it's very important to know, it's not about the amount of trades executed. It's about, when they're executed and how well they are. So Alice is generally very slow. You'll maybe get 1 or 2 trades a day. Sometimes you only get 1 trade a week, but generally that trade is a good one. It's something you would have done, or it's something you wouldn't have assumed. It's important to note Alice will miss peaks. So for example, you might see the price go up to, let's say, 270 or 370 Ethereum, but she sells at 360 on the next dip. It's because she wasn't fully able to detect the peak, but she was smart enough to where she realized that the bounce back happened and she sells at 360. You know, it's a give or take, but a lot of people want to fire and forget bot, and it's very hard to make those, but Alice is generally one of them. And then there's another one, and we got Chelsea. So let's go ahead and show you Chelsea. Oh, you can backtest Alice. So if we backtest her, here, let's go ahead and do this real quick. 6 hours to see if she made any trades. So in the last 6 hours, she didn't make a single trade against the Ethereum market, which is fair. So let's run a 2-day backtest. Wait for price history to load, and then we'll do it again. So there you go. So in 2 days? In 2 days, she only made 1 trade, but she bought at 261 and sold at 266, and that's a $30 profit. That's a $30 profit that I didn't have to do any work for. I just set it to go. So, you know, generally useful for those who don't want to really take care of it, because there's a lot of there's a lot of bots where you have to kind of baby it. And before the follow the trend on Flash Crash bot, you had to move the base price yourself, and that was just as much work as manually trading. So something to note. And I believe that is the last one we'll talk about, the accumulation bot. I guess I can try to cover the zone recovery. I think I understand it. Let's see. Let's just give this a... So, accumulation bot. Now, there is, you know, when the market's down and you want to collect a certain amount of coin, but you don't want, this is more for whales, let's say. This is for when you want to buy a lot of coins, but you don't want to buy so much that it affects the price. You want to get it at a really good price. I will get back to you on that, Alex. I think Stefan does have a monthly performance for Alice. He's listening. So Stefan, in Twitch, they're asking, do we have any average performance or monthly performance for Alice against Bitcoin or Ethereum? So basically, let's go back to the accumulation bot. Let's say we want to buy a certain amount of Ethereum, but without kind of affecting the price, and we don't want to really set a really big buy order, right? Let's say we want to buy 1,000 Ethereum. What we can do is we can actually use the accumulation bot. This is also kind of used for those who can see a little bit between the lines here. This can also be used for pump and dumps. We're not necessarily saying that we support it, but like anything else, a bot's a bot. How you use it depends on which market. But I digress. Basically what will occur is you tell it which order you want to do. So do you want to buy or sell, and how much you want to total accumulate. So let's say I want 1,000. Then we can set how big our order sizes are. So maybe 1 to 2 Ethereum. And then our minimum time between orders and maximum time. So this is about how far between, How far between, okay. Alex, Stefan says, unfortunately, no, we don't have any market performance because it varies too much. But for the most part, most people are pretty happy with Alice. There's a few people in the group who have Alice trading, and then they follow the trade. So if they see Alice sell, they kind of like, okay, the market's about to move, so they sell what they have. Just things like that. Unfortunate, we don't have any performance for her. But basically, the accumulation bot, what it will do is, minimum order size, maximum order size, how long between orders. So you can try to get them between the same price, right? I want 1,000 Ethereum at $190 Ethereum a pop. That's really good. But we don't want to move the price too much. And this works both ways. So we can sell it and we can buy it. Hopefully that makes sense. And it just does a lot of these orders randomly, keeps them off the order book. So it kind of looks like normal movement. Just something to keep in mind. So those are just general bots, right? And now there's the zone recovery. So the zone recovery bot, I'm going to try to explain it. If I do it wrong, I apologize. But Stefan does have does have a great write-up on the zone recovery bot if it decides to show up here. Or better yet, let's just move on. I want to get to the trade bot stuff before I lose my voice. But if you search Telegram, Stefan wrote about how the zone recovery bot works, but basically it makes a channel above and below the current market medium, and then has, it's supposed to be a profit only bot or a perfect bot. Most, it's like anything else. It's based on the strategy used, but essentially it's kind of doing what the scalper bot does, but using zones in a bit more fancy, bit more of a fancy, I guess, strategy and algorithm, should I say. So, all right, let me go get some water. Let's take like a 2-minute break. I'm gonna go get another cup of water. I'll be right back, and then let's go ahead and talk about some trade bots. So, be right back. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that, guys. So we're still in a little break. I'm free to answer some questions. So I'm going to wait for some people to get back. We're only going to cover a very small portion of the trade bots. I'm going to teach you how to create a simple scalper, or at least I'm going to attempt to, and someone will correct me. But I want to answer any questions people have, because if someone else went off, I don't want to have them miss some information. So if you have any questions, I will try to. I think it's recording the Twitch videos. If not, I do have a local copy that I'm writing as this stream goes. So if it's not on Twitch, we'll definitely have it uploaded on the main Haas website or the YouTube channel. Let's see. Any more questions I'm missing? So hopefully you guys got did you guys get the forum post for, yep, you got the training session. So for those who are curious on how Haas actually writes their candlestick data, the post to the forums is in Twitch chat, but I'll also post it within the Telegram bot, or the Telegram room. If you're not part of our Telegram room and you somehow managed onto this Twitch, I'm impressed. Tell me how you did it, but you really should. Yes. Okay. So that's a good question. How does the scalper bot handle bear markets? It gets stuck. That's the easiest way to say it. What will end up happening is the scalper won't sell because the market moves so far down from its required threshold that it just holds the bag. That's the general case for most of our sideways market bots. So keep in mind things like that. It's very important you put the correct bot in the correct market. And if you're not sure about what the market looks like, you can Google it or just ask us in HaasOnline or in the Telegram group. I mean, I would say right on the forum, but I probably won't see it. I just failed to check it so much. So, but yes, in a bear market, there is a very good chance the bots will get stuck, and that means you just hold back. There are ways to. So let's discuss a little bit of a way. How can you avoid that? We consider an advanced use of the bots, but you use multiple bots with each other. And what you could do is, we'll definitely have to cover this out. So the reason is because generally when you have a sideways market, sometimes we'll dip below the threshold mark, but we'll come back up. That's why we don't have a safety to immediately sell, because the idea of the scalper and the ping pong bot is not to sell for a loss. They're always supposed to overcome the 2 times fee. So that's why they don't have a safety. But there is a way we can do it. Basically what we do is we have a bunch of bots that do the trading, like our scalper and ping pong bots, but we actually create a trade bot that has a stop loss or a dynamic stop loss depending on which license you have, and it's allowed to trade your entire stash. So imagine, we'll use the dynamic stop loss bot for example, has the prices moving, right? It's moving up. You have a bot that has a dynamic stop loss that's following the price with a certain percentage you're allowed to lose. But what it's allowed to do is trade all of it. So let's say you have a couple scalper bots and they're trading 50 Ethereum, right? They have 25 each and they're doing that. Don't use 25. That's a terrible amount. But for example, you have 25, each scalper bot's trading 25 Ethereum. Your safety bot, which has a stop loss or dynamic stop loss, is allowed to sell 50. And what will happen is if the market drops to the dynamic stop loss mark and the bot, gets stuck, the safety bot, the one you created, will sell the entire position to avoid a loss. And I bet you're asking, okay, well, if that happens, what happens to scalper bots? They're just going to buy again, right? No. What ends up happening is they get stuck in their position. So let's say they were in a sell position, which they should be, right? They would be in a sell position because they bought low. What happens is when those coins go away, and let's say the market recovers, they won't try to sell. They won't have anything to sell, so they get stuck. They get stuck in a sell position with nothing to sell. So that's kind of how you can have a safety bot take care of your coins. And most of the people who have a lot of these bots, we all have one. It's also very useful, let's say you're manually trading, to have one of these bots as well, because as I was learning when I was doing spot trading, because I was, I'm still relatively new, I would have a bot that did a dynamic stop loss for me. So I would manually trade and have it following my trades. And if I got myself into trouble, it would kill my position before, I took a huge loss. So something very important. Yeah, so we can definitely, I remember how to make the safety bot. We can cover it, Oscar, or at least I'll try to explain it. If not, I can definitely get back to you. But I think everybody should be back by now. So all I want to do is I want to show you a little bit about the trade bot stuff, and then we'll definitely try to have another one of these streams where we go a bit more in depth. I'll talk to Stefan about which type of trade bots we want to explain how to build, and then I'll get Pashai to give me a couple of his fancy scripts so we can go about how to utilize them. So let's go ahead, let's jump into it again. For those who are here, who just joined the stream or a little late, I'm R4. I am support / community management / general punching bag for HaasOnline. I'm just kidding. Haas is great. Basically, I'm in charge of community relations and offering support. Think of me as tier 1 support. If it starts getting really complicated, I have to bug the devs anyway. So if you have any questions about what we covered here or you missed part of the stream, it will be hopefully staying on Twitch. If not, I will have a local copy and I will generally have it uploaded. So don't worry too much about that. If you're trying to get a hold of me, I'm Wrastlin or R4 in the main chat room. If you have any questions, definitely hit me up. It's my job. I'm always online. And if I don't respond immediately, it's because although I don't sleep a lot, I do have to sleep, unfortunately. So I'm usually gone for 4 or 5 hours out of a day. So let's go ahead. Let's jump into it. Trade bots. Trade bots are complicated. And the reason I say that is because a trade bot is something you fully define yourself. It isn't something we've built. It's something you're designing based on the indicators, safeties, and insurances that you yourself want to use. In order to create one of these correctly, you will need to understand the market. You do have to be able to do your own technical analysis. You have to understand some fundamentals as well, which I learned this weekend was very influential. We could talk about that later on chat, but I know a lot of people are going to say, well, you're wrong on this, but you really, really need to know how to do TA to build one of these bots. You're trying to do it based on the strategies and indicators that are available to you. And we're talking MACD, Bollinger Band, TEMA, DEMA, SMA, so on and so forth. If you don't know what those are or how to adjust those values for a certain market, you're not going to make a successful trade bot. All you're going to probably successfully do is lose yourself money. And it's hard to say, but I'll say it because you know what? It needs to be said. You got to know the market. You have to know how to trade in order to make a good trade bot. If it's 1-on-1, right? You got to know how to trade to make a trade bot. All they're doing is what you want them to do. But there are a bit of configurations we can get it to where it only makes profitable trades. And we'll definitely discuss that. So Really quick, we're not going to get too deep into this, but we're going to create a bot. We can create actual bot groups. So it's like if we want to enable our scalper army on this percentage, we can do that. But for this case, we want a spot bot. Let's do Ethereum again. A new bot. All right. So immediately you're going to tell the interface looks completely different from what the custom bots look like. Whoops. And that's because it is. There's a lot more information we got to do here. But essentially it goes pretty straightforward. We have our general information. So our platform, our market, our position. So I think Becky, yes, we did, but don't worry. We do have it all saved. You will be able to catch up to it. Right now, we're just doing a quick overview of trade bots, and then hopefully that stream will be available for everybody. Even if so, sorry, you did miss the pre-made bot stuff, but it's all there. Don't worry. You'll get it. You'll get a chance to look at it. But sorry. So there's the general information, which is coin position fee, and we did discuss the fees, right? So the fees are 0.25% if it doesn't know. And then, or whatever percentage it actually is. So 0.33, 0.21, 0.15, whatever your market is. So then you have your general settings. General settings are pretty straightforward. The bot name, the exchange, and the market pair that you want to trade. In this case, as always, Ethereum USD. And then trade settings. So here's where things get a little bit, we start configuring things. We have our position. Coin sold means we got rid of our last coins. Or the buy position means we need to get some coins. Or we bought coins. I think I have that backwards. Sold means we bought coins. Yeah, wait. Sorry. Like I said, we've been talking a bit. My throat hurts. Basically, coin position. Which side are we? Are we in a bot, meaning we have coins? Or are we sold, meaning we need to get coins? Generally, if you don't have any coins, you can tell which side you're on based on this little highlight here. So sold means we don't have any USD, so we can't buy any, right? So we're going to say we're in a bot position, and we bought 6. We want to use 6 total coins to trade here. So we're going to hit save, and it'll update eventually. It'll stop yelling at me. Then you want to generally put your last buy and sell price. This is used with the indicators. You don't have to, but it generally helps, because what will happen is if it doesn't have a last buy or sell, it's probably going to immediately sell just to get that price, because technically it doesn't have one. So just something to keep in mind when you're doing this. There is an aspect which I forgot to mention, entering the bot at the correct time. Custom made bots, they do work really well in markets, but they work exceptionally well if you start them in the correct position at the correct moment. So for example, if you don't have any coins and you want your scalper bot to start, start buying, you want to start that scalper bot in a dip so it'll buy immediately, and then it starts trading correctly. If not, you have to wait for it to correct itself or to get enough data to do the correct move. So there is an aspect of starting the bot at the correct time. But with trade bots, the ones you create, it really depends on what you set it to. But let's say you don't want to do that. Trade bots allow you to set the last buy and sell price, so you can kind of fill in that information immediately. And then you have your buy templates. Limit orders, market orders, any of these, and then stuff you set yourself. So for example, a quick timeout limit order means that I want to play, it's a limit order. If it's not filled within 10 seconds, get rid of it. That's a possible quick timeout. Or no timeout, meaning I never want this limit order to go away. So, but generally most limit orders are that way. But no, those are the buy templates. So safeties. It's important to note that depending on which license version you have depends on which safeties, indicators, and insurances you have access to. I know it sucks, but it's still alongside with we only want you to have to pay for what you need. And we don't want to overwhelm new users to the software with all of these options, because this doesn't look like a lot, but when we go to indicators, there's just a ton. And for a new beginner trying to learn how to trade or learn how to use the trade bots, they might get overwhelmed, and we definitely don't want that. That's why, got to do a little sales pitch here, guys. Sorry. If you're on a beginner license and you need the functionality of the simple or advanced license, we don't ask you to buy a full license. We will cover the difference. You just use the software, say, hey, I want to upgrade to a simple. I'll show you how to do that at the end of the stream. And we will contact you with the price, the prorated price. So you'll pay only the difference for the time frame difference. So we work really well. We only want you to have to use what you need. So there's generally no risk of saying, oh, I don't know if I want advanced, but I don't want to pay double. You won't. You can start with the beginner, learn how to use the beginner, and if you're like, I really need the advanced, you just pay the difference. Stefan's really, that's his focus. I know it sounds weird. It's a company after all, but he really wants to make sure that you're using what you need and there's no risk in picking a lower license because you're not sure if you need the higher end license. So if you're on a simple license and you've been on the edge about upgrading to advanced, you only pay the difference. Don't worry. It's beneficial if you need the functionality to upgrade, but we don't want it to be a requirement. And generally we pick and choose which indicators are easy enough for a beginner to understand or an intermediate or an advanced user to understand. And that's kind of progression. So a beginner who starts at the beginning obviously doesn't get overwhelmed. They get all the indicators, safeties, and insurances that are easy enough to make sense and to be profitable. And then has the more complicated, etc. goes is the higher license levels. Anyway, sales pitch over. Let's go ahead back to the safeties. So depending on safeties are just how they sound. They're safeties. They make sure things don't happen. But it's important to note safeties can do signals for buy and sell. Okay. I know, confusing, but they can. If you follow Pashai's scripts, he does use safeties to perform buy and sell signals. Bit out of scope for this talk, but just something to keep in mind. And safeties includes things like close X minutes before settlement, roof in dynamic price, roof in fixed price, stop loss dynamic price. So remember when we were talking about creating a stop loss bot to forcefully sell everything? It's right there. You would use this safety to create this bot and it will do its sell signal, right? Script safety. So this is, what do you call it? So script safety, this is safeties that are written generally by Pashai. Because that's all he does really. So Pashai's on the Haas team. He's writing scripts for the new scripting interface we have coming out. He's also writing indicators and strategies. If you are not keeping up with him on HaasOnline or on the forums, you're doing yourself a disservice. You really should be looking at his scripts because some of them are really good and some of them are improvements on the base models. In order to use any of the scripting stuff, you really need to make sure that you're on the simple license at least. That's when the scripting functionality support happens. So, if you're on the beginner license and you want to start using the scripting stuff, upgrade to the simple. It's well worth it. You won't be disappointed. But those are safeties. So price pump, price dump. So these are like what to do if the price starts pumping up a certain percentage. So if the price rises 3% within a minute, I don't know if that's a really big movement depending on the market you're using. But let's say, price moves up 3% and you're like, oh, that's a price pump, this market, right? What will happen is the safety will trigger and it will stop all trading of the bot until the pump is over. So you're like, well, why would I do that? Well, you don't want to, you don't want to sell early, right? if your bot's selling, you want it to sell at the peak or at least on the second bounce at a higher price. So that's what the price pump will do. Same with the price dump. Let's say you're in a buy position and the market starts falling down. You don't want to sell or buy at the peak of a downtrend. And that's where the price dump and the price pump kind of come into effect. It detects a dump in the market. It freezes the bot, says you can't do anything for amount of time you specify, and you're good to go. So then there's like deactivate bot after X trades. Look, I want this bot to make 10 trades. That's it. I don't trust it. No problem. Most people don't trust their bots at the beginning either. And then I do want to cover trade on trend lines. I didn't want to cover too much about the trade bots right now, but I think this is important. Everybody needs to know that this safety does exist because it's essentially going to trade on your TA and your charting. It's really cool. So we're gonna take a look at this. So let's go ahead. Let's click trade on trend lines. All right. So trade on trend lines is one of these features that Quintus wrote because we thought it'd be a really cool idea and we didn't really tell too many people about it. And it's really a disservice because this is a really cool feature and it's kind of where we're going with our trade setups. We want people to just be able to draw on the graph and then the bots execute trades. And this is a very good start to this and I want to show you. So basically what we need to do is we need to make sure we pick our price source. Now, when you make a trade bot, you do not have to trade on the price source of the market you're trading on. So for example, this weekend, Ethereum and Bitcoin were pretty much hand in hand. Most of the coins were all following the same exact chart as Bitcoin was. So for whatever reason, you could flip your price source to GDAX Bitcoin but trade Ethereum on the Bitcoin price data. This is more advanced topics, and there's reasons to do this, but it's something to keep in mind. There is a lot of flexibility. You can trade on the Doge market in Ethereum if you really want to. I'm not saying to do that. That's actually a terrible idea. But, you know, you can do it. More power to you. So then there is the trigger type. Close above, close below, tick above, tick below. Let's just say close below, right? So we want it to close below this line. And then we want an action. So are we going to buy or sell? So let's say we want to buy, and then we want to do this on, let's see, I trend on the 15-minute. Okay. So it's like, okay, well, now what? So you see this line up here. It's this little fancy little line here. What we can do is, let's see, let's draw a trend here. Let's just use this. This is not a good, right? So let's use this. Obviously, this isn't enough to confirm a trend, but, oh, geez. So, gotcha, right? So the market, so we clicked to draw the line. Chart didn't refresh. See up here in the top left? We clicked that little button. Boom, chart refresh for us, okay? So, I know, we're working on it, guys. A lot of features. So basically what will happen now is if the price dips below this trend line, we're going to produce a buy signal. And that means that the bot will now buy at this point, right? Then we can do the same for a sell signal. So, whoop, hold on. I messed up. It's one trend line per safety, guys. Sorry, I messed up. Let's get rid of it. I keep right clicking and it doesn't work. So let's just create a new one. So let's add a new one. So what we're going to want to set this to is close above, and we want to sell, okay? And we want to do this, let's say we want to do it on a 10-minute. We want to buy on a 15 but sell on a 10-minute. That is completely possible in our environment. So let's go ahead, click here, and draw this line. This is a really crappy line. Forgive me, Karam. So what will happen now is we currently cannot show both lines at the same time. Like I said, this is a work in progress. This is kind of where we want to take it. But what will happen is we can see here, we're going to trade. Anytime the price goes above this, we're going to sell our current buy. And then with the last one, anytime the market goes below it, we're going to buy. See what we're doing here? Now, you might want to reverse this, whatever the case might be. But this doesn't work infinitely. So let's say, okay, we're going to do this up to this point. Right? Or, you know what? For the example I want to do, we're not going to use the current downtrend that's occurring. We're going to just use one of the uptrends, right? So we're going to delete our two trend lines. So we're going to create this. Okay. And we're going to switch to our 15-minute. And here's what I want to do. Let's pretend this half doesn't exist right here, okay? I'm going to pretend from 17:11 and on forward. Let's ignore that, okay? So here's what we're going to do. We want to let's see, buy. Come on now. Okay. This looks like a more believable crappy trend line. Like I said, Karam, I'm sorry. I'm trying to do this quickly. Okay. So we want to buy if we close below this, right? So if any point we come down below this trend line, we want to buy. And then what we're going to do is we're going to set up another one for our sell trend line. So we're going to do this. We're going to sell. If at any point we're above, we're trading on the 15. All right. So if any point we're above, let's just say, let's pick this one. I know for those who know what trend lines are, you're like, you're bastardizing it. You're doing this wrong. I'm just trying to show you functionality, guys. So, so we have our two lines. We have our sells, or we have our buys, and we have our sell point, right? But it doesn't work infinitely. It's only on the distance of the line given. So let's say we want to keep doing this, but at any point we hit here, let's make a new one. And this is where some of the more interesting stuff happens. So let's say at any point, come on now. Come on now. All right. So we know we have our sell trend lines right here, our buy trend lines right here. And then let's say we want to sell if the price goes below this right here. Boom. Dang it. This is, like I said, this is half my VM, just not have enough memory. So now what happens is we're going to buy anywhere between this trend line that we drew here, sell anywhere here. But if at whatever point the price hits this trend line between this time frame, I want to sell it all. And this is how you trade with charts. We're at the beginning stages of it, but this is kind of where we're leaning towards. This is where we want things to move. So imagine being able to use all your indicators, all your pennants and your cup and handles, etc. Really cool. Anybody can make a bot using this right now. So remember how I said you do have to understand trading. Just understanding how to draw trend lines and identify them on a 15-minute chart here, you could create a bot that will produce buy and sell signals correctly within a trending market. I expect clapping and standing ovations at your desk right now. So let's go ahead. Let's keep going. So those are safeties. And I really wanted to show you that safety because it's a really cool safety. And like I said, safeties do perform buy and sell signals if they want to. So the next one's indicators. Now here's where, when I mentioned how we have different indicators for different licensing, this is what an advanced license looks like. I think you said ascend it channel twice, but I'll answer that question after I'm done here. So basically, as you can see, we have a lot of indicators, and some of these are easy to understand, and some of these require a bit more knowledge of trading. In fact, I don't understand half of these myself, but we have them all. We're on advanced license, so we have all of this. But let's just go ahead. All I'm going to do is I'm going to pull, let's use an Aaron, right? First one on the list. We click it. And what you'll see here is the sell and buy signals that are generated. So up here on the list, you can see at what time frame the buy and sells occur. So it's saying buy anywhere between here. Let's use a real chart. 1 minute's not going to help us here. I say that, but most of the trade bots run on a 1 minute. Just a heads up. So using this indicator, we can see we're going to sell it here, but we're going to buy throughout this, sell here. You know what? It's not that good. Almost all indicators, when you pop them in at the beginning, are not going to be good. And there's a reason for this. They all have separate settings that you will need to set. They all require a certain type of market. And there's so many of them and so many different settings and variations that we really can't make a video on all of them. So each indicator requires a different set of parameters for the given market. And you don't know those parameters until you understand how to use that indicator on the specified market. If it sounds confusing, it's because it is, and it does take time. I'm still learning. Like I said, I've only been doing this a small amount of time, as many of you know. And in order to use most of these indicators, you have to understand them. Now, granted, Pashai makes these things really easy, and so does Stefan, where they'll just give you an indicator that's set up correctly for an XYZ type of market, and it makes money. Granted, that does happen. But remember, in order for that to occur for us, they had to understand the market. They had to understand how these strategies and indicators can be utilized against these. So for Oscar saying MACD 60-20, exactly. I couldn't look at this immediately and say MACD 60-20, but he can. He understands the market. So something to keep in mind. Tons of indicators. Which indicators you have access to depends on your license type, and they are designed to be from beginner to advanced, right? So the beginner ones need less configuration and perform better than, let's say, the ones in the advanced where you have to understand the market more in order to set them correctly. So just something to keep in mind. Let's talk about insurances. Now, insurances are just insurance. Like, what do I need to occur in order for XYZ to happen? So, for example, be profitable in X trades. That's fantastic. Let's say I'm testing one of Pashai's scripts that lost me a lot of money. I'm not bitter. But we set this be profitable in X trades because we didn't know how it would perform. It performed well in back testing. We didn't test it in simulation because we're masochists. Therefore, we got to say, hey, you got 10 trades to make money. Now, 10 bad trades loses a lot of money, right? But just something to keep in mind. We do have insurances created to avoid situations like that where we're not sure the outcome. Or let's say you're not sure, for example, this weekend's market, nobody knows what's going on. It's flat, it's sideways, but a lot of people are claiming dead cat bounce. People are saying we're going to uptrend. People are saying it's reconsolidation. Whatever they want to call it, nobody knows what's going on right now. So you can create a bot that will only do 20 trades because you're not sure about how the market's going to do. You're not sure what direction it's going to go. Therefore, you don't want to leave it on too long. You want to be able to forget it, but you also want it to be able to take care of itself. Then you have disable on losses. Look, you take 5 losses, you're done, right? Never sell cheaper means whatever price you bought at, never sell below that. It's pretty straightforward, right? Technically would be a 100% profitable bot, but then what happens if you bag hold? Well, now you're holding at a very high price, so hope you have a safety bot you've written. You know, percentage price change, scripting one, stay profitable, trade only trending, so on and so forth. And we do have the ability to write custom insurances, right? Pretty straightforward. So to end this stream, I am going to butcher and build a quick scalper bot. So like I said, my understanding is it's a, let's see, I'm just going to read, let me make sure I have this right. I got it written down somewhere. Just kidding, I don't. Okay, so we're going to build it in the sense that you only have a beginner script or a beginner license. That way everybody has access to it. Most of the dynamic high lows, dynamic stop losses, if it has the word dynamic in it, you have to at least have a simple version. How that never sell lower and sell if loss percentage are mixed together. Basically one just wouldn't fire, right? So never sell low would prevent the sell if loss percentage ever happened, right? So they just wouldn't fire. I know, right? I'm reading Z. Yes, I'm a little less good at doing TA. We're getting there, right? Sorry, I had to drink some water. So let's go ahead. We're going to try to create a bot here. And once I get it wrong, someone can definitely correct me. Yes, you can. Oh, that's great. I'm glad you mentioned that. So each signal, insurance, etc., will have what do you call it? Will have a, let's see, where is it? We can set a master signal. So if we look at signal settings, we can say master signal, and what will happen is it will take complete precedence over everything. We don't have a way to set like order yet, so having a 5 or a 6, right? That's definitely something I will mention to Quintus because that sounds amazing. If we can say this particular signal takes precedence over the other one, but right now we only have the concept of a master signal. So basically, if this signal fires, ignore everything else, right? So that could be your dynamic stop loss. If you have your dynamic stop loss signal has a master signal to sell, then it won't matter what the other ones are saying. You can just say, look, this one fired, sell everything right now. And, you know, that's generally for good. So what would end up happening there is so using the sell if falls. Yes, you can. So what would happen is the master signal would be sell if falls 3%. That will always happen after 3%, and it will override the never sell below. Yes, so you can combine them. Sounds confusing at first because we offer full customizations, and there is times where if you set 2 master signals at the same time, they will conflict. So just something to keep in mind. It's logic, right? Don't say, you know. And yeah, Z, I am reading the chat. I see you talking mess. Don't worry. So let's go ahead. So if we're trying to build this bot, a scalper bot, or hell, even a ping pong bot, it has a beginner license. We got to make sure that we don't do anything crazy. So beginner, if I spelled that wrong, I'm sorry. Never claimed to be good at spelling either. All right. So let's see. We need our safety, and I believe what we want is none of these. All right, we're gonna look through them as if we're doing it. We need a blind indicator. I know that much. So either a timed or not. Let's use a timed. So I'm gonna set out timed indicator. Minutes before signal change. We're gonna trade on what we want to do is we're gonna say let's trade. We're doing a 5-minute, right? The market's moving quick enough where a 5-minute chart makes sense. And then we want to do, let's say we want to check every 15 minutes, okay? So we can see here, we're going to sell here, or yeah, here we go. We should, I can never read this top one to be honest with you, but these should be fine. Basically what's going to occur is the blind indicator is going to switch off every 15 minutes. It's going to fire and it's going to check to see every 15 minutes fire. Is the price lower or higher? Then what we want to do is we want to create an insurance called overcome either fee cost or double fee. Double fee generally means be profitable, right? Because if it can't overcome double the fee, it's just not going to execute the trade, which means it's not going to take a loss. So if we overcome double fee cost, boom, simple scalper. But this is more of a ping pong bot, right? Because we don't have the price percentage. And the reason we don't have the price percentage in here is because I don't believe the beginner license has access to the dynamic price change. If I'm wrong, let me just ask real quick. I'm asking Stefan right now to see if I'm wrong. But essentially, what we have here is a quick ping pong bot, right? Okay, so yes, dynamic high-low is not enabled on beginner, so unfortunately we can't put that into this quick bot. But it looks like we have a simple and up. So he's saying look for simple and up. Don't know. Let's see. Nope, that's simple moving average. Nope. Maybe it's an insurance. We can't find it. Don't worry. I can tell you how to build it faster than I can actually build it. Oh, simple licensing up. I'm an idiot. All right. We've been doing this far too long, as you can tell. He's trying to tell me something. I'm thinking wrong. But basically, for a beginner, you can make a ping pong bot pretty easily. Overcut double fee costs, and then with the time blind indicator, meaning just check at these intervals, and you have a simple ping pong bot. I'm pretty sure there's another indicator or safety we can use to change the price or look for price changing, but the stream's been going on for quite some time and I don't want to hold everybody up. The next thing is if you want to build a scalper bot in the simple license, overcome double fee, blind indicator, dynamic high-low, and you got yourself a scalper. So some things to keep in mind. What was I going to say? Yes. Okay. So that's kind of we're going to call it here for the stream. I've been talking for 2 hours and I'm pretty sure I'm starting to mumble and stuff. Sorry, Stefan's telling me I did not make a ping bot, but it's fine. They still give me mess even though I work for them. But basically, here's what we'll do. We'll call the stream here. This is a very basic overview, some basic understanding of how the custom bots work and a little bit about the extra features. There is more. I did not touch our dashboard at all, and I really wanted to. We could set up complete custom dashboards with alarms, different charts, news, YouTube videos for those of you who are like me, who have theme songs you listen to in trading. You can create dashboards that facilitate all of this. So you can do quick and easy trading. You don't have to have a bunch of windows open. I definitely will do a video or a stream, probably a video. I mean, streams are easier. We'll figure it out. But basically, we can create a full dashboard experience so we can have our alarms. We mentioned quite a few times in the Haas channel us waking up to alarms. It's because Haas is very loud. It has very annoying, obnoxious alarms to let you know prices are changing. So we do have functionality like that. I also teach you guys how to set up the Telegram bot. It's very nice to get messages when your bot's making making good trades. For us like me who try to write custom trade bots, it does make mistakes, but there's a lot of people who have a lot better bots than me. So we can set up the Telegram bot so the bot will ping your phone, let you know like, oh, hey, what do you call it? Your bot's making a trade, safety fired, or just like a heartbeat saying we're online. Yeah, Oscar, I agree. The sounds and the alarms are just beautiful. So I wanted to cover real quick upgrading your license. If I've convinced you to upgrade or you think that I'm an idiot, to each his own. But to upgrade your license, you just click the upgrade license window. And you have the beginner, your simple, and advanced license. We used to have something called the professional license. We don't offer it anymore. It was never a fully built license, and most of the features were in the advanced anyways. So we just moved everything to advanced, and we only have 3 tiers. Now, generally what will happen is you have your beginner license, which it says 2 active bots, but if I'm correct, it's 2 trade bots and 2 custom bots. Okay. Same with simple, 3 active, 3 trade, 3 custom. I might be wrong. That's how it used to work. Here's how you would upgrade. Basically what happened, whatever license you have, the next one up or the next 2 up will have an upgrade. You click that, it'll actually give you a prompt, fill out the information. It will send Stefan or someone else on the team a message saying you want to upgrade, and then we'll actually manually calculate the cost for your upgrade. So remember, for those who weren't here when I said it, we only really want you to have to use what you need. We don't want to charge you more for a license you don't have any use of. And there's no penalty for taking a smaller license like the beginner or simple and then finding out later you wanted the advanced license, right? You just cover the difference in cost and the difference based on time. So let's say you have the beginner license for 2 days and you're like, oh man, I really want the advanced. You know, you just pay the difference for that upgrade. You're not going to pay the full amount. If you've already paid the full amount for advanced. If you've done that, there are cases where someone bought the beginner and then they just bought an advanced license. Stefan's really good about it. Just talk to him. Something can be worked out. And like anything else, you know, maybe you find out that trading with bots just isn't your thing. You know, no harm to you. Hang out in the community. I think that maybe like 100 people in the community don't even use our bot software. So that's kind of nice. People like sticking around. And I agree, Oscar. I have been terrified by the alarms going off. I was in bed and I just fell out of bed because I was running to my computer. But yeah, hopefully this stream was helpful. If it wasn't, I'm sorry, but you stuck around enough anyway, so maybe I sounded kind of nice. If you guys want to see more of this, please let Stefan know. That way he doesn't fire me. I mean, just kidding. That way he knows that this is the type of content you want. If you want more of a more straight up, just quick guide on YouTube, we do have some of those videos coming out. We're just finalizing some of the prettiness of them. You know, you got to make that fancy intro and outro. And we will have those up online as well. This will probably be here on the Twitch channel, or we'll have it upload to YouTube, whatever works. But yeah, hopefully if anybody has any more questions before we sign off here, please let me know. I'll answer them as best I can. And if not, hopefully you guys didn't get hurt too bad during this week. It was a lot of fun. We were trying to help. If you have any questions about markets, etc., please do not feel bad about asking the noob questions in chat, because I was a noob about 2 months ago. So hell, I still am, to be honest with you. But if you have any questions about some technical analysis, drawing trend lines, understanding indicators, or simply just understanding how a script works or how to create a trade bot, ask in chat. Someone will help you. Someone will answer your questions. And half the time, it won't even be the Haas team. The community's been very great. Everybody's been working together. And there's even a few people who are making sure people are making money. So something to keep in mind. But it doesn't look like we have any more questions. So I will stop talking, take some water, have a break. And I hope everybody has a great weekend. And till the next stream, if you guys have any questions, let me know. All right. And now I awkwardly turn off the stream.